What do you think is the difference between lust and love?
I feel like lust is like just more of a I feel like lust is kind of like a taste of love. The difference is that is like the time, you know what I mean? Like I feel like lust is like very quick and like it's more of like a sexually driven thing, whereas love is like a full acceptance of another person and it lasts longer. You know what I mean? I feel like lust just is like a fast glimpse of love, kind of. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. That's just like an idea that I have.
Let me ask you a simpler question. What do you think love is? I suppose not a simple question. But
Yeah, I feel like, I think love and in love are different things. But I think love.
Okay, so we're not talking. Okay, so.
I don't.
So, okay.
I don't know.
When you're talking about, when you're talking about lust and love, you're not talking about being in love.
No, I am.
Okay, you are talking about.
I am talking about. Yeah, so I am talking about being in love. I feel like being in love is like you don't see. Like nobody else can compare to that person. I don't know how to describe it. This is really hard.
Do you think you've ever been in love?
I've been in love one time.
You think that you have?
I'm pretty sure I was. Yeah.
Okay. Your first relationship, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which everyone says like their first relationship, blah, 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 but I don't know.
Okay, so
like I still love that person. I don't want to date them anymore, but like I still love them, you know?
Okay. So
I just know why we wouldn't work
you
out.
think that you were in you think that you were in love with him. You still think that you are in love with him.
Yeah.
Okay. That was the how long was that relationship?
It was like a year, but they lived with me for like 8 months.
So he lived with you out of 8 months out of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you dated for 4 months and then he moved in with you?
Yeah, basically.
Okay. And then why did you guys break up?
It wasn't the right time in his life, and he really needed to focus on himself and like.
How long ago was this?
I was 18 to 9. I just turned 18. Yeah, 18 to 19 years old.
Or I guess how old is he now?
He just turned 25.
Oh, so he's 4 years older than you.
He was 4 years older than me.
Okay,
yeah.
so.
But I feel like I had my life more together than him, and I think part of that bothered him. So, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if that was a thing. He's like, I'm the boyfriend. Like, I should have my own place, and I'm older than her. Like, I should be doing all these things.
There's a lot of insecurity that comes from that. For
yeah,
sure.
I think that's partially what it was. But.
So there's a combination of things. There's insecurity, immaturity, and
a bunch
lack
of things.
Of
and also, I was too dependent on him. Like, he would leave for a day, and I would start like crying and wouldn't know what to do with myself, and I'd like cut my wrists. Like, that's not good. So, okay. I mean, it needed to happen for me to be who I am now. But
okay. So,
yeah.
Does he think? Do you think that he was in love with you?
I don't know.
Did he ever say that he was in love with you?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever ask him are you guys friends or no?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever ask him that he thinks that he was in love with you?
We did have like a conversation because after we broke up, we like were cordial and then we became friends and then we like kind of were like, should we try this again? And we tried for like a month and we both were like, no, we shouldn't.
How long ago was this?
That was when I was like 19 and a half. I'm like,
oh, okay. So it was shortly after.
It was like shortly after we like tried again. We were like, no, this definitely is not the vibe.
Okay. Now that you think about it, do you think the reasons why you were attracted to him at the time are still there now or no?
Yes, but that's a good question. I feel like I'm in a therapy session. I think they are, but I just know they're not for me. Does that make sense? It's like I want a Kit Kat bar, but like I'm vegan, so I can't eat the Kit Kat bar. You know?
I see what you're saying.
It's kind of like that mentality. But I don't know. Like he'll always be like in the back of my mind type thing. But it's not someone. if he asked me right now, like, do you want to be my girlfriend? I'd be like, no. So it's weird. I don't know. That's why I feel like I could have, like, really, really been in love with him. But I definitely...
Because you think that there's an attachment.
I think it's just an emotional attachment to, like, where I was in my life and, like, that whole experience I had. And he was just with me on all of those experiences. So I think of that, like, I associate them together type thing. So it brings me, like, a nostalgic feeling. But, like, we're so friends now, and, like, there's certain things about his personality that I'm just like, this is why we fought. Like, now that I'm more self-aware of myself, I'm like, okay, now I understand why it didn't work. And there's just so many reasons that I'm like, okay, like, I'm not upset about it anymore. There's no, like, resentment or, like, bad blood or anything like that. But I definitely learned, like, what to look for and what not to look for in a partner now that at this point because of that. But I still don't know the difference between lust and love.
We'll get there.
Okay.
Do you romanticize things in your mind?
I do all the time.
Incredibly? Okay.
I think I like the idea of things more than the actual thing. And I think that's also a lot of it was, like, I liked him on my arm. Like, it was how he looked and also, like, the aesthetic around everything. And it was like we were the it thing. So when I lost that, I was like, well, am I going to find somebody as cute as that or as good as that, or, like, in his field that he was working? I was like, is anyone gonna be like, am I gonna find somebody better than him? And, like, I have met people like better suiting for me than him.
Did it hurt you in any way?
Yeah
You don't have to say what it is, but do you you said that there is no resentment because of those things, so I'm assuming you've forgiven him.
Yeah, I think I've forgiven him.
Okay. What is the worst thing that somebody can do in a relationship to you that would end it for you?
Cheating.
Cheating. Okay.
Yeah.
If did he cheat on you?
He didn't cheat on me, but
If he cheated on you, would you still love him?
I think if he had cheated on me, I wouldn't have been with him, but I still would have, like, loved him. I don't know. I know that's sick, but, like, I think
Well, it's not sick.
I think I would have.
You think you would have?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know because he didn't cheat on me, but I mean, he did something almost like that where it was close enough to where I was like, It was just the circumstances were not the best for me.
This is how I describe the difference between lust and love.
Okay. Let me know.
I believe that when you are in love with someone, that love is unconditional, which means that it does not matter what the person does, their actions, how they treat you. You will always feel that there's
This,
nobody
like,
else
tethered
that
attachment to them no matter what.
it's not attachment. See, there's a difference.
Okay.
Now that's where it gets tricky.
Okay, I think that's where I get
That's
confused.
where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
Because the attachment comes from different places. Being in love is unconditional to a point where forgiveness is a default. Which means
I like
that
this. Forgiveness really puts it to the test. Like, how much would you let them do to you?
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when we talk about forgiveness, there is also places that are attached to that, where it's like, how much are you willing to be loyal to someone and allow them to learn from their mistakes and become a better person?
Mm-hmm.
And then, are you willing to be a part of that journey with them or not?
Right.
I personally believe that if you are in love with someone, then you cannot imagine your life without them. One way or another, you would be willing to make it work no matter what. Okay.
Okay.
Now, there are circumstances where things can get very tricky. You know, if somebody's physically abusive, if somebody's mentally abusive, right? Are two people meant to be in love, and yet somehow one could hurt the other person, right? Because at the end of the day, we're people and we make mistakes. Now,
right.
I believe that in a situation when somebody makes a mistake, unless they're willing to change, then there's nothing really you can do to help them.
Right. You can lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink.
Yeah.
Right.
So they have to be willing to create, change in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Does that necessarily mean that you have to be a part of their life and be hurt by that person just because of the fact that you're in love with them? Right.
Right.
The two are not the same. Because sometimes if we're being hurt by someone, regardless of whether we're in love with them or not, we would have to walk away in order to stop the pain for ourselves.
Right.
So it's a little bit contradictory in that way.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, hearing that breakdown, I would definitely, going back to questions you asked me before, I would say that I was probably in love with him and he just wasn't in love with me, even if he thought that he was. Because at that point, so what is it if you're in love with somebody, because you said like you'll do anything to make it work no matter what, right? But if they think they love you or think whatever, but they're not actually in love with you, they're not willing to make it work as much as you're willing to make it work, then it's not going to work. You know what I mean? So like you can be in love with someone who's not in love with you, right? Like, that's very possible. Or is that not possible?
Here's my problem that I've been debating for a very long time. And the question I always ask myself is God cruel enough to create dynamics in the world where the connection and chemistry between two people can be a one-way street?
Yeah, that's a hard one to answer, I guess.
I suppose it's impossible to answer, but
yeah, and I mean, in a perfect world, I guess you would think like he wouldn't do that to you, but
because if you believe in soulmates, the existence of soulmates, right? Then wouldn't two people be each other's soulmates? And if that's the case,
yeah,
then how is it possible that the other person cannot love you back?
Okay, so this also now triggers my thought about monogamy, because I am wondering with what you just brought up. I don't even know how to phrase this, but I feel like, because I had the belief too that like you can be in love with somebody, but maybe you're not. You aren't growing in the same way, so it won't work out in the future. But I stopped believing fully in the idea of like only one person is for you. You know what I mean? Like even getting married at this point, I'm like, is there just one person I'm going to be with for the rest of my life? Because I would be totally happy with that. I am somebody who is down for that type of dynamic. But at the same time, I know a lot of other people, even if they want to believe in that, they grow out of people, of things. It doesn't work out. Like things happen. Could be like a place you are in your lives. Like it could be a bunch of different things. But I don't know. And maybe that's a Gen Z thing, but I feel like a lot of people are questioning like the idea of being with one person. Like it just seems like unrealistic. Maybe that's because of the dating culture, how it's like so many people doing so many things, no one settling down type thing in my age group. Maybe that's what it is. But I feel like lack of commitment, all of that stuff. I just feel like, I don't know, it made me start questioning it. So I'm like, will I be with one person the rest of my life? I doubt it. You know what I mean?
Well, so the culture has normalized not only dating around, but also divorce and going from one partner to another and accepting that something ends.
Yeah, it used to be frowned upon. Begins. Now it's normal. And then it used to not ever happen at all. And people would be married at 16 and that's it. And that's your life. And there you go.
Well, here's the problem. I think the biggest part of the issue is that people are no longer willing to fight for what they believe in or what they say to each other. You know, words no longer mean anything. Because I would say to you, hey, Jackie, I'm in love with you, and I would live. I can't live without you, and I want to be with you for the rest of my life. Right? Those words coming out of my mouth mean absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Like I just like say it.
You just said it.
Right.
Yeah.
And just because
there's no meaning.
I felt like saying it at the time, but in no shape or form I meant anything that I said.
Your actions would show
right?
if you did. Yeah.
I'm very different. If I say something to you,
you mean it.
I mean, like I will not tell you I'm in love with you unless I'm actually in love with you.
Yeah.
I will not tell you I want to spend the rest of my life with you if I actually knowingly am thinking to myself, this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with. Now, here's the tricky part of it is not to say those things when you're actually happy in a relationship, but say those things when you're upset
unhappy.
and angry and
it's
unhappy.
Like finding something to be grateful and the thing that you don't like. When you're fucking pissed at that person, like kissing them and being like, okay, like we got into a fight, but I love you still. Even when you still hate them in that moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always say too, where hate comes love. Like I'm physically incapable of hating something that I don't love, because it's like, if I didn't love it, then I would not care at all. You know, if I didn't care, I just wouldn't care.
Yeah.
But if I have these like intense feelings of like hate for someone, it's probably because I love them. You know, I only get like that with a few people. Otherwise, it just kind of like whatever.
I think that the concept of monogamy, it goes in so many different directions, because certain people are okay with certain things. You know, let's say if a girl is bi and they would want to have sex with, like, you know, other women, or
right. Everyone's relationship is unique to their whatever. Yeah.
Or two people are swingers, or, you know, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
I think those conversations are very specific to the partners that you end up being with.
Right, I agree.
Whether or not love can be found in multiple different people, I'm having a hard time accepting that as those people actually unconditionally loving one another. And I think that's why most of these relationships end, is because that finding that love that is unconditional is so rare.
Right.
Which is why you hear, every once in a while, you would hear about, you know, two people, your grandparents or like somebody else's grandparents, being together for like 60 years, 70 years.
Right.
Right.
It's like they met in middle school and is
because
history.
it's just, I mean, but things like that, I don't think happen that often.
They don't happen that often. I've seen it like once maybe.
Which tells me that the rarity of finding your soulmate is something that not very many people experience.
Right.
You know, I put it in the same places, like
I like that.
It is, I think, is more likely to win the lottery than it is to finding your soulmate. And I've talked to multiple people about the subject, where they're like, well, no, you could fall in love with like multiple people. I was with my ex, who I thought was my soulmate, and then I found this new person.
And you're like, yeah, but do you love them now? Were you in love with them? Because it obviously wasn't unconditional. So that's where your unconditional thing comes in. I like that, where there's this game called We're Not Really Strangers, and it's like a card game, but it makes you like get deep. There's 3 different levels. It's like connection, reflection, and like something else, but they just ask deep questions. So it's like a 2-person game, and one of the questions was, if you could describe love in 1 word, what is it? And like me and my friends all went around and we said 1 word, but I think I said unconditional at the time. I was like, unconditional, because it's like never ending type thing. So that's like a good word.
I mean, unconditional is like you're willing to do whatever it takes for the person.
Yeah, you know? Unconditional has literally no limits to it.
And I make it actually easy for people. The question I always ask myself is, am I willing to give up my life for this other person? You know, a bullet is coming to you right now. Am I willing to step in front of that?
Yeah.
You know, and literally knowing that I'm going to die, or you know, or you're actually, this is actually a lot better. Mm-hmm. If they said, you're ex is losing his life. And the only way that we could help him is to take away your vocal cords and give it to him. And that's the only way he'll survive.
Holy shit.
Would you do it? Now that is unconditional love.
That is unconditional love.
If the answer to that question is yes, and now you could ask
But
somebody
like,
and
I
they
don't
say,
even know if I would. I'm so sorry, Mama. I love you. And Dad, I love you too. I don't know if I would do it for either of them.
well, that doesn't necessarily
I'm like-
mean that you unconditionally should love your parents. I mean, that's not.
That's true. But I feel like I do. See, but that really just is the question. That is a good question to ask me. Like, would I get rid of these? I don't know. That'd be really hard.
Because that gets real.
I mean, forget the singing. I talk a lot.
You know, it's
Oh,
giving
no.
up things because some people say it like, are you willing to die? Okay, yes. You know, and
Yeah, like,
like
whatever.
so you say it because you know you're not going to die.
Right.
But then, you know, push comes to shove.
But something realistic that it's like, oh,
Yeah.
actually, you couldn't.
Are you willing to
Yeah.
give something up that is going to, you know, change, alter
I think
your
at the
being?
time when I was with him, I would have, but now I would not. Yeah, I don't. The love wasn't. Well, I feel like, but okay. So, can the love feel unconditional in the moment and just not be? Then, that's
Yes,
probably
because
what it is
at that time,
most of the time.
Yeah, because at that time you're thinking to yourself, "Oh my God, this person I cannot live without."
Yeah, but then this just makes me feel more discouraged. Like I'm never gonna find someone who I unconditionally love that much. You know what I mean?
It's
I'm like,
possible
unless
we
it just
don't.
slaps me in the face. I don't know.
You know,
But
it's really possible.
please don't slap me in the face, future lover. I'm like,
It all depends where you are.
yeah, right. I know.
It. I think that most people don't, and most people find somebody who is a partner, you know, who they end up loving, but that's what that is. It's just love. It's not being in love, but it's like lust, right?
Right.
And you learn to adapt to the person. You learn to be with someone because nobody wants to end up alone.
Right.
And so that's how they end. That's how they think is that okay? Well, am I going to keep searching? Because then how long are you going to search?
Yeah, I've had people who are like older, been like with someone, and they'll tell me privately, probably like a guy, but he'd be like, I am like turning 30, whatever, and I really do like this girl that I'm with, but I'm at the age where it's like, okay, I'm either gonna propose to her and like this is the girl for it, like the rest of my life, or like I don't have any time to find anybody else. So, but that's just like, why would you say that? Because then it's like you're settling, you know what I mean?
For sure.
And you just said it out loud, but you're still willing to you're still willing to settle because you're scared of like not finding somebody. Like, yeah, that is a crazy concept too. I don't know. Would you settle?
No.
No. You'd rather be alone than have someone that wasn't the real deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Because
agree.
because I'm a very giving person, but aside from that, I'm very loyal, and I don't think I'm ever going to be willing to be with someone knowing that there's a possibility of them hurting me.
I think that's what's scary too for me in relationships is like, I was watching a Miley Cyrus interview and it's a lyric in one of her songs in her album. I love her new album. It says, I find myself a giver because I'm a taker or something like that. And she's like, like I know my role in the relationship. Like I'm a taker. I'm very busy. Like that's what she likes. For me, I feel like I'm a giver. Like what you were saying, like I'm constantly like always thinking about them and always trying to make their day good. Like I just like taking care of them, like my loved one. That's like my love language, I guess, is like acts of service. Like I like expressing my love for someone by doing things for them. And when I don't get that reciprocated, it's like, I don't know, it freaks me out.
And that's also another part of it is when you are unconditionally
like,
in love with someone.
Yeah.
Then giving does
not a question.
require. Yeah,
You
giving
just
does
do
not
it.
require reciprocation.
Right.
Where, you know, and again, these conversations are very specific to the title of what we're talking about because, you know, the mature relationship will have reciprocation in it. You know, so I just want to be very specific
Yeah.
to our audience that this is not, this is very specific to what we're talking about.
Yeah.